English Learners Forum for inviting me as a guest speaker. It is a huge honor for me, of course, to be here. And one of the things that I should maybe mention in my introduction is the fact that, if you haven't been in a certain location, you might assume that there is nobody that can be considered as your like-minded somebody in that particular location until or unless you meet that person. I'm so happy to see people like me here joining this important event. While you might choose to be at different locations, engaging in different games and so on. And I feel honored too to present at this forum in front of my teacher, my mentor, Mala Abubakar. Mala Abubakar has been, of course, I have been considering him as a father figure, not just as one of the shapers of Kano State. There are those who, with the influence of, of knowledge, of wisdom, that have been trying to shape the society itself. Mala Abubakar is the founder of Kano English Club, which is an interesting, or rather, a highly professional book club that had started being in existence before my own. In fact, when I was trying to open my book club, I even contacted him. I told him about what inspired me to, start my own book club. And Alhamdulillah, he has been so helpful. He has been, doing a lot to the development of all of us here. So I'm so happy to be with you. And I'm sorry because I was supposed to be here at 4, but frankly speaking, to tell you the truth, around 3 p.m. Today, I was hugely sick. I've been suffering from, something like ulcer, they say. It has been 5 years since we met. Yeah, of course. It was a year in which I almost died. So I didn't die, in 2020. I survived, alhamdulillah, and I thank God all the time for the health. So until this year, until this month, August. So I didn't want to say I wouldn't make it until next week. I don't want it to be like that. I took some medicine. I also visited hospital. Then I said, okay, let me be here since I feel much better. So the topic that we're going to be discussing today is hugely important. This is because it is one of those topics that we should be discussing in our different forums because of the technicalities of reading and also the strategies that one can adopt to read. I'm afraid I cannot discuss all the topic today, but maybe inshallah, when we have another time, I will come back to complete what I will start today. This is one of the topics that I have been yearning to discuss, not because I have a lot of information that I want to share, but because it's one of those know-how topics that can help the upcoming readers or the budding readers, if you like, to find their voice or to maybe know their anias when it comes to reading. You see, there's one problem that I discovered. I don't know whether I'm the first person. No, I will not be the first person. It has been in existence for long. I think nobody trained us on how to become readers. If you can go back to your early life, I don't know whether there was somebody like a father or a father figure or a mother figure that taught you how to read and that taught you the strategies that you can apply for reading. I don't know. So you see, it is something that is learned usually through interactions with people, through, for example, listening to people who are highly educated, people who, for example, understand the art and they engage in it daily. It is when you attend forums, for example, some famous forums we have in Kano, like ANA, BUK Creative Writers Forum, or, for example, Progressive Learners Association, Undergo. That's where you come to meet people and you learn how to go about, reading. And sometimes it is when you meet people who have been doing or who have been reading, then maybe you can have a special time with them and then you can ask them some few questions. how to, for example, deal with the issue of new vocabulary or new words that I come across when I'm reading or something like that. So this is why I say these topics should be tabled and discussed so that we can learn. This book that you can see with me, Reader's Handbook, is one of the books that I usually recommend. And I brought 2 copies to this forum because I want you, after this lecture, to keep, for example, keep taking parts of this book until you exhaust it. You understand? Discuss it. Yeah. Discuss it among yourselves. You understand? Learn from it. It's a very, very useful resource that any reader, especially those who are here, we are now starting, right? We should learn something from this book. The book is well written. It has a lot of rich contents, if you like. If you read it, you will understand so many things, and you will learn how to read from experts. You understand? Not just the way that you have been reading, for example. So that is why I decided to come with these 2 copies. So I think you can collect it for the So please, I want you in your sessions to find time to select topics after topics so that you can engage in the activity, so that you can do it, especially from the expertise point of view. What is our topic today? Let me ask. Let me see. What is our topic today? Promoting. But not you. I just want to. I just want to have somebody. Because remember, it is supposed to be interactive. What is our topic today? Our topic for discussion. Yes. Promoting reading culture. Then challenges. Strategies and what? And opportunities. Wow, this is interesting. So this is the topic that we're going to be discussing today. I want to start by saying that first we need to maybe understand what reading is and some things that can help us to go about it. First, reading is not something that is enjoyable. It is not something simple. It is something difficult. I have to confess this. I have to confess that reading is not easy. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of tenacity before you become a bookworm. You understand? Therefore, reading is not like a game, for example, that you can, engage in doing because it is enjoyable. Reading is not like that. Reading is, can be considered, for example, as a tool, like a hammer. The way you use hammer. Why do we use hammer? Can you tell me some of the uses of hammer? Guduma, for example. Yeah. Okay. We use hammer to mold iron, or to, for example, to what? To hit a nail, right? Yeah. If, for example, this bench is wagging or is wobbling, for example, you can use a hammer to what? To hit a nail, right? So that it can become strong again. You understand? After becoming ramshackle or something like that. So reading is also something like that. You can use it as a tool, meaning you can use it just the way you use hammer. You use hammer to carry out some activities. You can also use reading to carry out some activities. For example, you buy a medicine, but you don't know how to take it. So you can just quickly open that, for example, what do we call it? Brochure, right? You can read that brochure and see how the medicine is taken. You understand? You can buy something new, but you don't know how it operates, for example. You can read the manual or the brochure in order to fully understand how that particular thing operates, for example. So, reading can also be a skill. You can consider reading as a skill, just like swimming, just like diving, for example. Reading can be also considered as a skill, meaning a person who is able to read, it means that person is a skillful somebody. When you're talking about people with skills, you should also consider him because he has some sets of, for example, adepts, if you like, that make him different from the rest. You can also consider reading as an ability. Um, why do we say reading is an ability? I think the reason is very simple. Reading gives you what we call thinking power. Thinking power, the ability to think. If you engage in reading, you will begin to have thinking power. You understand? You read it in this book when you lay your hands on it. It will give you thinking power. The way you think will be different from the way that people who don't engage in reading think. That's how it works. The way my friend Mr. Dabo over there is thinking is quite different from the way that many of his friends, for example, are thinking, because they don't engage in reading, for example, especially the ones that don't read. So a reader is a person that has a skill. A reader is somebody with a special ability. A reader is somebody that possesses thinking power. So if you don't know how to think, and if you don't know, for example, how to, come up with a beautiful thinking, or with critical or creative thinking, then you can engage in what? In reading. Now, when we talk about thinking, I think this is something important. Why do I say this? It is because a person who is not able to think for himself, that person will be facing a lot of challenges in his or her life. Just consider a friend of yours who hasn't been involved in educational activities, who doesn't go to school. What that friend of yours, for example, knows better is marketing. He goes to market, he comes back, he enjoys doing some activities, except reading. He doesn't engage in any kind of reading. And maybe during his school life, he didn't focus his attention on the learning activities over there. That friend of yours will not have the capacity, will not have the what? The capacity or capacity. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this one is trending, right? Will not have the capacity to think the way you can think. When it comes to business, for example, you see, I engage in business activities, and whenever I think, I understand that I usually generate my thinking power from the types of books that I usually consume. I have read books on business, for example. Therefore, the way I operate in my own business is quite different from the way that many business people operate. You understand? I was telling somebody that I read one book, no, just 50 pages of that one book. And after finishing those 50 pages out of 200 plus pages, I sat down in my parlor, brought out my video gadgets, and recorded a video. The video, is just 8 minutes plus seconds. I made that video talking about learning English and inviting people to join my English center. When I made that video, because of the power of the words that I was able to use, because of the strategy that I learned from that particular book, it got watched by almost 300,000 people. That's number one. I generated over 1 million from that video. I'm not trying to, to tell you, for example, something that, it happened. No. I'm just citing an example, you understand? I read that book, I'm into creative writing. I've been writing stories and poems. I've been performing at different stages. But when I read that book, it told me that for you to market whatever you, for example, provide, whether it is a product or service, you need to understand story brand. There is business brand and there is story brand. Then I learned about that story brand. And the writer, Donald Miller, discusses in details how can somebody tell stories while marketing his or her business. And then I internalized that knowledge in me. When I came to make that video, I used the knowledge that I have just gotten. And because of the application of that knowledge, I was able to make impact on the minds of the people. So now the question that I have, how many people have been making videos, but maybe that one video of theirs hasn't, for example, got watched by this number of people and hasn't made the impact that you understand? Because what I'm telling you is that that money is just the starting point. The page that I was using on TikTok, went viral. The activities that I was conducting or that I've been conducting, posting there, they became more, well known by many people. And as a result of that, I got a lot of influence. You understand? And that's what reading does. And when I went to somebody was telling people on Facebook that those people that engage in reading, they should start by asking themselves which type of books that they read. I agree with him. I understand. I agree with him. I understand his concern. But he was trying to demoralize people from the art of reading these books that we read. For example, there is this genre called, what do we call it? We call it, personal development genre. There are books on personal development, right? On business, on habits, on what? On relationship, and so on. These are books written by others with experiences, with knowledge, with frameworks. So some do not bother just to read them. But I don't like it when somebody is also discouraging people from reading them. Because now, we want people to engage in the activity. So even if somebody is reading about business, is reading about habits, is reading about thinking, let that person read. Let him enjoy some new ways of thinking. Let him learn from the grasp of that book. Then when that somebody was trying to demoralize people, then I said, as a result of reading that book didn't give me money, in flesh, but rather it turned the knowledge that I applied in that video, and as a result of that, I made that amount of money, and my page went viral, and the video is still trending, because up to now I receive requests, and people tell me that it is because of that video that I made that they felt convinced to start following me and also to enroll at my school. So this is the point that I'm trying to make. Therefore, the thinking power that reading gives you is extraordinary, and I always encourage you to do this. Now, let me very quickly talk about why we read. This is an interesting question. If you are asked, why do you read? I think each of us, we all have our own reasons for reading, right? Some read for enjoyment. They just enjoy it. They read just like the way they play games, for example. They read just the way that they watch football and they engage in different physical activities. And some read because of meaning. They want to find a certain thing in what they are reading, for example. They want to have a full understanding of something that they are reading. Some read because of beauty. For example, you can see a well-written story and you engage in reading that well-written story. Okay, there is this book entitled Pride and Prejudice, written by Jane Austen. The book is one of the best books in English. I read that book more than 30 times, because the book is so engaging. The conversations are so nice and they have been meaning. The characters have been individuated. So I've been reading that book because of the beauty of the conversations, and because of the beauty of the narration, and because of the beauty of the diction, the choice of words. You understand? Because of the beauty of the characters' habits. You understand me? So there is every element that I was looking for in that book. When you read a well-crafted story, for example, you engage that craft. You engage that well-structured story. So some read just because of beauty. And some read because of fun and ease. They find it a fun experience. So they read just for the heck of it. Recently, I came across one interesting concept developed by Stephen Kirshen on, reading, on learning second language. He says, if somebody engages in reading for pleasure, that person will be, will metamorphose from the basic level of learning a second language to the advanced level of that learning. Why? Because he says, whenever you engage in free, voluntary reading, that is reading for pleasure, in simple terms. When you engage in it, you pick a book, you read just for the heck of it. You understand? He says that without your knowledge, you will be learning language unconsciously. Your grammar will improve, Your spelling, will improve. The way you construct sentences will also be different. And the way you express yourself in public will be different. Why? Because of the power of unconscious learning. There is this kind of learning that you do when you engage in reading just for pleasure. Even if you're not trying to practice what is called close reading. Sometimes just reading for pleasure can give you all these important things that I have mentioned. The way you write will be different. If I start reading a book written by a good writer, I understand it from the first sentence that writer has made. You understand? I didn't know Malam Abu Bakr, back then, until I read one review that he wrote. It was a review of a book that I read. So from the opening sentence of that particular review, then I said that, well, you understand me? So, I was reading that piece of writing full of pleasure. I just wanted to read a review, because he shared it with me. I enjoy reading that particular review. And when I was reading it, then I said, wow, this person is a good reader. Because you cannot start your review just like this if you're not a reader. You understand? So if you want to improve, if you want to hone your skills of writing, just engage in reading. Reading will give you a lot of styles and patterns from which you can create your own. We have been talking about finding your voice in public speaking. If you are able to engage in reading for pleasure, that is the one that you do, not because you are forced by your teacher, not because it is a set reading for you. If you just read for pleasure, you will end up becoming a highly professional writer and also a highly professional public speaker, because you are learning how the language is used in a much beautiful way, in a much more beautiful way. You understand? So for those who have been complaining, my English is weak, I don't know how to speak in public, I don't know how to improve my, stop complaining. Embrace reading for pleasure. There is a research on that. It was written by Stephen Christian, and the research is on the internet. You understand? If you read it, The Power of Reading, that's the title of the book. It is not more than 200 pages. You will enjoy reading that research because he will be giving you a lot of references that you can go back to. So reading is something that can help you a lot to excel at different skills that you want to excel. Very quickly, reading itself has a process. There are different processes that you can follow before you read. I find it very interesting to discuss all of these things because I learned that sometimes it is because we are not being guided on how to read. That's why we find it difficult. A person might tell you, sir, I've been reading, but the problem is that whenever I come across difficult words, I stop. Some might tell you that I stop and I open my dictionary, carry out the meaning of that particular word, and then continue. Okay? So this guidance will be helping us. You understand? In the course of our discussions, you will learn that when you come across a word that is difficult to understand, you are not encouraged to stop reading and then find the meaning of the word and then continue. There are different ways of reading. Sometimes you read just for pleasure. You're not reading for the full meaning of what you are reading. You are just reading because it contains a lot of enjoyment in it. Reading is such a joy. The activity of reading is such a joy. So sometimes you just read not with the purpose of, for example, understanding every single word. You need to understand that. And if you don't understand that, then that's why you find it very difficult. You don't have to always read because you want to understand everything inside the book. Sometimes you read because you want to understand only a paragraph or maybe only a chapter of that particular book. Or sometimes you just need to taste the book, the kind of writing that you are reading. I hope you understand this. Okay, now, before you read, we need to understand that we need to do three things. First, before you start reading, assuming you pick up fiction. Fiction, remember, is usually a piece of writing or it's a genre that deals with pieces of writing written as a result of imagination. They are not lies. They are not, concoctions. Some people, argue that when you are reading, fiction, you are going to be a liar. No, it is not like that. We need to clearly understand what fiction is all about. So fiction doesn't ask you to agree with what they write or not. They just want you to understand this is how they think. If you read Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude, you may not find the book in a very, very familiar style that people write, because he is trying to make things that don't really talk in real life. He's trying to make them talk in that book. So there is the element of magical realism. But one thing that I want you to understand, the story written by that writer was not written in English, it was translated into English. You understand? And then it is one of the most important books in Latin American literature. When you're talking about Latin American literature, then you have to go back to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, for example. You cannot talk about, for example, English novels without talking about Robinson Crusoe, which is an adventure, for example. So assuming you are reading an adventure, or you are reading, for example, autobiography, or you are reading a biography written by somebody, or you are reading a memoir, whatever you are reading, it's important before you start reading to do 1 to 3 things that I will mention. The first one, set a purpose. You understand? Set a purpose. What is your purpose of reading this book? Meaning, what kind of information do you want to drive out from this book? Are you reading this book so that you can learn about the life of the author, or about, for example, a certain war that took place? You understand? Decide. There are different ways to read fiction. So also there are different ways to read non-fiction. And if you come back to these details, you will learn step by step how to read, for example, a biography, how to read an autobiography, how to read, for example, a novel, how to read a short story. We all have different styles and processes. We don't have one pattern of reading. So you should understand that. It's very simple when you understand how to do it. You understand? So set a purpose. Whatever genre you are reading, set a purpose. For example, what are you trying to find out from this reading that you're going to engage in? Okay, when I was about to start reading a book entitled The Incredible Dreams of Garba Dacascos, written by Umar Abubakar Sidi, I asked myself these questions. What is my purpose, or what was my purpose of reading this book? That's what I asked myself. Okay, then I said, okay, since the book has some elements of realism and magical realism, I want to learn how magical realism and realism, for example, are portrayed in books. Because I respect the writer, I respect the author. I read some of his works, the first ones that he produced. And he had written that book before he started writing his poetry collections. Therefore, I had my own purpose. The second thing is preview, meaning start from the front cover of the book. Read the title, the author. And then, if you go back to the back cover of the book, you will see sometimes there is a blurb that says a little about the book. The characters, if it is a novel, for example. Sometimes you will see some pieces of writing written at the back of this, right? Which will give you a hint to what is there in this book. And then open the first pages. If the book has preface, for example, assuming it is a textbook, okay, maybe it has a preface. So you can start reading that preface. It will give you a clear picture of the nitty-gritty of that book. You understand me? The contents, like the motif, if you like. I don't want to use literary language. You know, it will give you the drift, the central idea of that book. That review that you will do, that you will engage in, will give you a lot of hint on what you will come across in that book. And it will help you, it will ease your difficulties. It will sometimes, put your heart at ease while you are reading. You will not worry about understanding everything. You will worry about understanding the general idea of that book. What the story is saying. Now I understand what the story is saying. Okay, I understand. It's about Russian war. It's about the First World War or the Second World War. Or for example, it's a book about Nigerian Civil War. You understand where the book is heading. So now keep reading, understand the story. Okay, this is it. Okay, the third thing that you need to do is plan. Plan how to read it. Planning is important. In planning, this will take you back to how to read any kind of genre, for example. Assuming you're going to read a novel, if you read the book Read to Lead, you will learn that Don't read any serious book if it is at night. At night, we don't read books that we want to learn skills from. We don't read them. You're not advised to engage in reading books on how to do marketing at night. No, you are advised to read fiction before you sleep. Do you know why? Because if you feel sleepy or somnolent, for example, and you engage in reading a serious book that you want to learn a certain skill from, then it means your reading is going to be a passive one. You understand? Therefore, read fiction. That is, try reading for pleasure when it is at night, when you are feeling sleepy, for example, so that even if you haven't finished reading the whole book or the whole chapter, you engage in that particular exercise. I hope you understand me. So I want you to find out to find this book, Read to Lead, and also read, because it contains a lot of things that will help you understand this better. So plan how to read, for example. By planning, it means the style, the technique that you can adopt in order to read it. Okay, sometimes people get confused. When you say, for example, you need to plan reading this book through what we call, for example, note taking. Some people will tell you, Tokuma, I'm reading and I'm at the same time taking notes. How can this be possible? Go. Let me tell you the truth. Me too, when I started it, it was so difficult. It was mundane, boring. I didn't enjoy it. But it was rewarding, because after I finished reading that text, I had my notes with me. And I felt that I can discuss that book in front of anybody. You understand me? Because I had my notes. I was able to take a lot of notes from that particular book that I was reading. It was this book written, the title is Shoe Dog. You know, it's a demanding book. Let me tell you the truth. Shoe Dog, written by Cliff, who's the author, please? Cliff Waima? Cliff Knight. Yeah, excellent. Cliff Knight. That's the title, the author, I mean. The title is Shoe Dog. It's a book on business. It is his memoir. He wrote this book to tell us how he managed, how he succeeded to establish a very powerful company in the United States of America, selling goods that were produced by the Japanese. The book will take you to history, will bring you back to his country, will take you to different wars. And you have to understand a very, very difficult and deep language before you are able to understand the whole book. So I did note taking. That's how I planned to read Shoe Dog. So are you going to practice note taking? Meaning, if you read a page or a chapter, for example, you can write down some of the learnings from that book. What have you learned from that chapter? Meaning, what the story is trying to say, what these pages that you have read are trying to tell us. You understand? When I say learning, it doesn't mean I mean to write the lessons that you have learned. No, not just the lessons, but rather a way of understanding the text that you are reading, a way of understanding the real meaning of that text. If it is a story, understand how the story opens. Who are the characters, for example? And what is the storyline? What is the story is all about? For example, you pick up a book that has 800 pages and read. You shouldn't be proud that you have read 800 pages, but you should be proud about the fact that you are able to understand the storyline, the plot. You understand? You are able to understand the characters and their roles in that book. I hope you understand. Therefore, maybe your note taking will go about taking the names of the characters together with their characterization, meaning the roles that they play in the book. You understand? That's how you can read a book with a lot of characters. In The Incredible Dreams of Garba Dacascos, there are more than 300 characters. So how can you understand each and every one of those characters? What I did was very simple. I was taking notes. I learned about the characters. I learned about Ain and other characters. In Shoe Dog too, there are so many characters that you have to come across. And this book also, written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, it has a lot of characters. You understand? Because it's a story of 7 generations of Bundia family. So you have to, even the names are not, the names are not easy to read. You understand? Sometimes you have to read them with some difficulties and so on. So this is it. Therefore, set a plan or set a purpose, review, and then plan how to read it. You can also practice, after note taken, there is another style that is very important that you can do. There is what we call stick notes. Stick notes. Do you please do you remember stick notes? Stick notes. Do you know? Is there anybody who knows them? Do you know stick notes? They are those pieces of paper stick together that are very small in size. You can use them to write some points or to maybe itemize something. We use them in the offices. They have, what do you call it? They have gum at the top of them so that you can paste them. You understand? So stick notes are important. I don't advise you to be writing things inside the original book, but you can buy stick notes, write the note that you want to write and stick it there. You understand? So that when you finish reading, you will put the stick notes together. This is a sample of stick notes. Yeah, you can see Miss Abubakar is using them. So buy them. They are not even very pricey. You can buy them and then they can help you a lot. So sometimes you can do something like that one. Okay. So now during reading, now you have come to start reading. And now you have started reading. During your reading, you have started reading. Oh. So now read with that purpose that you already defined at the beginning. Okay, are you looking for a bit of history from that book? Okay, read with that purpose. Read with that particular aim in that book. Therefore, anything historical, like years, for example, don't forget to write them down. Because if you are reading any book on history, years can be difficult for you to navigate the whole book, throughout the book. But you can write the years and maybe the main events. You understand? This is important. If it is not history, for example, it is something else. Don't forget your purpose. It is that purpose that you can, go along the reading. And then, during reading, try to be connected. Sometimes when you read something, it can take you some time to reflect. You will have the feeling of deja vu. Sometimes you will feel, what this writer is describing, like it happened to me just last week. You are connecting. It is good. You understand? Connect what you are reading with what happened in your life, or with what somebody told you, or with something that you are very familiar with. It will help you to understand the whole book. So don't forget, read with the purpose and then connect. Keep connecting. Keep connecting. Keep connecting. You understand? If a writer is describing how, for example, a certain character in his or her book lives with his or her family, or with their family, if you like. Let me be genderless. Let me practice gender. So, if you are reading something like that, sometimes you will feel, these people that the writer is trying to describe, they are just like us in our family. We're also like that. Or we are sometimes different. But this person is exactly like my younger brother or my younger sister or something like that. Connect what you are reading with what? With your life. Now, after you finish reading, there is something that you need to do. First, pause and reflect. If you read, don't just take your book and go out. And as I told you, it depends upon your purpose for reading. If you are reading just for pleasure, you can just go out. You can do your things. You can enjoy in other things. But if you are reading with the purpose of learning something, it's important after you finish reading that text or those pages or those chapters to pause. That is to stop. And then to reflect. That is to think. Mull over what you have read. Try to understand the lessons or the things, the key ideas that you have grabbed from that particular thing. And then reread. Do the second reading. Some of us don't engage in the second reading of a text. And this is sometimes very dangerous. Let me tell you this. The reason why I enjoy The Alchemist, written by Paulo Coelho, is because I have read that book. I cannot even count the time. I lost count. When it comes to how many times have I read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, I can't count the time. Whenever I read that book for the second time, the third time, the fourth time, I understand it more clearly. I understand that it is one of the most beautiful texts that I have read in my whole life. And some might not enjoy it because we have different tastes, remember. You don't have to say that everybody has to enjoy what you are reading. You understand? Please don't force people to do this. But you should understand that rereading is something that is required for you to do after you finish reading that particular text. Therefore, reread it, meaning read it for the second time. Read it for understanding more. Read it for note taking. Read it for writing a review. Read it for writing a summary. Read it for better understanding. This is important. Don't be in a hurry to finish a book, to pick up another one. No, we're not in this game. For you to have quality reading, you should read, and after you read, you should reread so that you can reflect, and so that your reflection can bear something. You understand me? Any great writer that you see in today's world hasn't been in a hurry to just write and publish, you understand, and get money. No. It begins with discipline. Also be disciplined. You understand? Don't be in a hurry to finish a book and pick up another one, finish this book and pick up. No. Unless you have the ability to understand everything or to understand most of the things that are needed from you. Now, very quickly, let me talk about the challenges. I think I will mention 2 challenges here. First, reading culture, especially in northern Nigeria, or to better contextualize it in Kano State, I think faces some challenges. And one of the challenges is stigmatization. Stigma. Go? Yeah. Sometimes when you pick up a book to read, somebody will say, "To al-huda huda ko." My eldest sister was calling me al-huda huda because I engaged in reading. Because at the very moment when people were enjoying other activities at home, I was engaging reading books. So she called me al-huda huda. But now she's among the people that are very, very much proud of the person that I'm becoming. You see, stigmatization is there. Don't worry about it. You understand? Just find ways of mitigating the feelings of fear that you have in your mind. And you can do this simply by meeting people who are like-minded. Okay, in your area, maybe people don't want to read. And when they see you reading, they will start calling you names. Don't worry. You understand? Don't worry. Try to find a better way of your reading. Maybe you can decide to read at home. There are people who are gregarious. They want to come out. They want to be with the public. They are social. And there are people who are reclusive. You understand? I can tell you that part of my life, I was practicing being reclusive. Because in my area, nobody knew that I was a reader or I was interested in reading. Even from where I was starting, to grow. So I didn't face too much stigmatization. Yes, yeah. You understand? But I learned that in quarters like, ours, Anganiko, especially Chikengari and so on, some people don't have this habit of reading. Mala Bakar went to America. I hope he will one day give you a session on many things that he saw in the United States of America. But I think he can bear me witness that, people in America, not all of them, but many people in America are very proud to read books. They enjoy reading it. I think between what do you call it, shuttle. Like, if you're going to go to work and then while you're coming back to work, you can see people reading, during their drive. So it's something that is likable. But the environment is not like ours. We have a lot of problems. We're even trying to control the system. We don't have to divulge what is happening. We all know. So now, stigmatization shouldn't be a problem to you. Don't be taken away by how people stigmatize the activity of reading that you are engaging in. Please don't worry about that. Just find a way to not let people criticize you on that. Find a way to do it. Find a way to persuade them to engage in it, Makoi. Sometimes when you come to criticize somebody, if the person is very wise, you will end up being his supporter. You understand? So this is it. So the second challenge is paucity of the materials. That is lack of the necessary materials for people to engage in. Let me tell you this. In my school, we have bought almost 150 books for our students because we want to practice FVR, free voluntary reading. We want every single student of ours to find reading for pleasure, something enjoyable. So as a result of that, I bought 150 copies. You understand? So kaga, this will ease their difficulties. But this is not the case in many schools. Oh, it is not the case in many quarters. Many quarters in Kano State do not have their personal libraries. Even the Kano State library that people go to, we know even the situation that is in existence. The books are no longer there. The books that we are looking for. So now this paucity of books sometimes discourages readers from reading. But let me give you a point. If you happen to be in a place where access to books becomes difficult, then join a community or a forum that have those books available. That's what you can do. You understand? Currently, we are working to, collaborate with many private organizations here in Kano through our book club, and we're planning to do something. We want any registered candidate of that book club to have access to their libraries, especially at the weekend. So sometimes joining a book club, joining a forum can ease your difficulties. Maybe the forum may decide to do something like this one. You understand? But now we have plenty of people who read, for example. You can befriend them, okay? Try to pile up with people who are readers. People that you can practice book exchange. Ongane book exchange is one of the cultures that we practice. That is, come with your book, then I will come with mine, and we can exchange book for book. We can do trade, go, you understand me? Excellent. It's possible, man. Anaima. We even did it. But let me tell you the truth. When this was done to me, I didn't bring out my books. So I collected her books. They are up to now with me, but I haven't taken my books to her. Sometimes it happens this way, but you can do it. You can come up with your book. You can come with your book. You can, I can come with my book, and we can negotiate. Okay, let me book exchange. Let me look at your book. Wow, I like this title. Please, I want to read it. Okay, wow, this is beautiful. I would like to read it. You can exchange. Okay? Book exchange is one of the things that this forum should adopt. Please do this. It will help you a lot. Okay? Try to buy books, little by little. No matter how little money you have, you can buy, a book for a month, for example. And then in 12 months, you will have like how many books? 12 books. Yeah. And some books are not very expensive. You can try it. You are a young person, remember, you go out. You can even buy, iPhone with your money. So why can't you buy books? I don't want to say this, but I have to say it. Recently I went with my friend, to somewhere, within the Kano city. We kept buying books. So I learned that my pocket was becoming empty. Whenever I had some money in me, I didn't, without, taking much of the time, the money would finish. And I said, what is happening here? Then I remember I have a lot of books. I bought a lot of books. I bought a lot of classics. So one day we went to that person of ours. Okay, we need to buy more books. He said that I one day stopped and I started counting the number of times that he came here. Now he almost bought books that were close to 1 million. I said, this is serious. I didn't expect it, wallahi. I didn't know. So this story that I'm telling you now. But, home, they don't know anything about this. And I will never tell them. And some of us again. Because they will say, this is madness. 1 million on books. 1 million on books. But they haven't seen, good readers. Good readers. Billions, mala. They bought books that can worth, or that are even worthy of billions, not just million. Books, I don't know but listen. So finally, because of the time, when I want to end by maybe introducing some reading strategies that you can adopt. There is reading process and there is reading strategy. The two are not the same. They are a little bit different. Okay? So as the topic implies, I talked about the challenges. I talked about the art of reading itself, the challenges, and then, to maybe come to an end, because I want to end with the opportunities. You can practice what they call close reading. That is reading word by word, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, because you're looking for something. Cool? That's what literature students are doing. They read books not just to enjoy it alone. They also read it because they want to appreciate it. They want to understand it. And they want to apply theories on them. They want to look at those books from different thinking frameworks. Okay? So they can practice close reading. If you are practicing, for example, formalism, you can do close reading because you want to follow it one after the other. So depending upon what you are looking for, you can practice this. I've been practicing close reading, especially if I'm going to give a presentation on a certain area. You know, I count every single word that I read. I consider it as important. When I was in level 3 or 4, I think we were given some poems to analyze, and I had to do this close reading, and close reading, you know, helped me in those days to take my exam very well. You know, I was able to write a lot because I did a lot of close reading. I was able to understand the deeper meanings of the poems. You understand? So something like this one, close reading can be done just like this. You can learn the techniques later because I said I'm just introducing them. You can also practice looking for cause and effect. Sometimes you can practice this strategy. For every effect, there has to be a cause. For everything to happen, there has to be something that should be done. How can I go? For you to succeed in life, you have to do what? You have to do what? For someone to succeed in life, that person has to work hard. Second, struggle. Third, So these things that you have to do before you get this result, these things that you have to do are called causes. And the result that you end up with is called effect. So you can practice this kind of technique while you are reading. What causes this situation? Then you can find the causes there, okay? And then what brings about this effect in this book? Then you can go back to the causes. What made this rich person in this book? For example, what made him a miser? The effect is he became a miser. But what is the cause? So that's what you can find out in the book. So you may decide to say, okay, let me practice this kind of, cause, or looking for cause and effect. You can do this. You understand? You can find the causes that bring, the effect. So this is it. You can also try note taking. I think I explained this a lot. And you can try to do outlining. You understand? You can, for example, have main themes and then sub-themes. Okay? Okay, you are looking for example, you are reading this book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. So this book has given you what it is going to do while you are reading it. He's going to teach you, he's going to describe to you how Europe underdeveloped Africa. You want to hear from his own perspective. It doesn't mean, Kawai, where you are looking for whether he is telling the truth or not. No. Personally, you are looking for his own perspective. What is he trying to offer? Maybe because you have read some books written by others on the same subject matter. So you can try this kind of thing. How Europe underdeveloped Africa. Therefore, anything that he mentions that is related to how Europe underdeveloped Africa, you can note take it. Yeah. You can outline it, You can outline it. And then you can say, okay, under this there is A, B, and so on. And then there is also paraphrasing. Okay, you can sometimes read just to paraphrase the whole situation, to analyze it. You break the book into pieces, you understand, in order to understand it better. Something like that. So for everything, for every item here, there is, a way of doing it. There are different books that you can practice using it. Now, this might sound a little bit technical, but when you listen to the lecture again, you may come to terms with what I'm discussing. You understand? There are things that can take time. But as I recommended, okay, go through this book, learn more, come, have a discussion. Okay, for example, close reading. So let's learn how to do close reading. Let's learn how to practice cause and effect. Let's learn how to try note taking. Let's learn how to, outline. Let's learn how to paraphrase. You can discuss it. You can make it topics for discussions. You can sit down and arrange it in this way. It will help you a lot. Because when you do something with mastery, Kai, you should find this book and read, written by Robert Greene, Mastery. When you do things with mastery, you benefit more. Unganiko, the difference between the modern entrepreneurs and the traditional entrepreneurs is that modern entrepreneurs are technology savvies. You know, they wake up to technology, they use AI, they understand how it works, they understand easier ways of solving problems. And the traditional ones become reluctant. Sometimes they don't want to engage in any activity like that. So don't be so conservative. You know, try to be flexible. You know, be ready to learn, be ready to explore. Sit down, engage in discussions, okay? Learn different techniques, and you will see recommendations. Okay, approach a certain genre with so certain style, or with so certain strategy. There are things that I haven't discussed, like sensitization, for example, skimming, and so on. But I have left this, you know, yeah, okay, you want to ask me this. And so on. So these are some of the items that I think I will discuss under this. And the last part of it is opportunities. Gaskiya, if I say I'm going to be telling you the opportunities that people can have as a result of their reading culture, I will just be wasting my time. Because everything that I'm going to say is very obvious now. I just want you to go to Facebook. Find any account of anybody that people tell you that so person is educated. Read through their posts, and you will see progress. You will see some things that you have never expected to see. Reading has made me what I am today. Understand? I haven't achieved much, right? But at least, yeah, of course, I haven't achieved much. How can you compare me with high achievers? No. You know, that's the truth of the matter. You know, I'm realist in some ways, right? You know, I haven't achieved much, but let me tell you this. Reading has been saving my ass. I'm sorry if I may use this informal English. You know, reading has been saving me in many circumstances. Wallahi, to tell you the truth, you know, let me tell you this. You know, in our family house, if people are looking for ways out, they come to me. Allah, what do you think I should do in order to solve this problem? Do you know why? because I have been giving out many techniques to my family, and they have been practicing them, and they have been seeing results. So now they believe me. Like I become one Dandubaga. Okay? Somebody might call me, please, how can I solve this problem? Sometimes if they are in problems. So some things come with the experience. But gaskiya, my experiences usually come from books. You know, they come from books because books give me access to many things. There are books on every single topic, and before I engage in something, I usually read one book on that thing. When I was suffering from laziness, I read this book. What's the title of it? The Art of Laziness. And I woke up. When I wanted to learn about how to set goals, I read different books on goals, almost 10 of them. Okay, I learned how to set goals and how to achieve them. When I was learning how to strategize my business, then I read business strategy. You understand? And as a result of that, I learned a lot of strategies. I learned about you as a business owner, you have to attack. He compared, you know, there are so many things. When I wanted to learn how to read, I read almost 18 books on reading. And I learned how to read. I learned different ways of making the most of it while I'm reading. So whatever I want to do now, I read books. Before I got married, when I was learning about marriage, I went back to my secondary school books. There were books, you know, taught to us while we were in secondary school, like Minhaj al-Muslim, Risala, and so on. I learned about how to solve problems at home. So without any influence of Western books, I learned many things about marriage because I had that primary literature. Books are just like that. They give you a lot of benefits. You will see us maybe being invited there, speaking in public, discussing this, traveling this, getting promotions, you know, visiting different countries. Reading has been doing a lot to many people. Reading has touched many lives, and reading has made many people famous. Reading has solved many problems, and reading has opportunities at your own disposal. Just do it seriously. Be disciplined. Enjoy the art despite it is difficult. Be a disciplined reader. Be a reader that knows a destination. Be a reader that has a sense of direction. Select the types of book that you read. And then if you speak, they will say this person is different. If you do business, they will say this is different. If you speak in public, they will say, Kai, these are key figures that we are looking for. Whatever you engage in, neither is something I understand. In the Kanaka, almost everything that you do, say Allah sama albarka. So shikena. Reading brings baraka. Baraka for Alju and baraka for. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, I'm looking for Ahmed. Please. Can I see?
Once again, thank you so much, Amanda, for this class.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
Let me just make this announcement.
Okay.
Gala Book Club Initiative, which is used by us. It is 25 years old. I didn't get the word. Okay, silent reading, where has been scheduled will take next explanation. Dala is probably sorry day, Wednesday, 14 October 2025. Time 10 to 12 p.m.
What did he say?
Then
Okay. Idan urgent ne. Maybe zai kama wasu tafi.
number 25.
To abin da za ka yi. Kana ji? Kira min Haruna. Kira min Haruna.
Okay, kuma jagoran da sorry. So I didn't get that. Okay, yes.
Lala, cire Malam Haruna yana nan. Idan yana nan kawai sai ka buga masa sai ka ce masa Lala akwai wani Malam Haruna. Idan an tura abubuwan nan ne Lala akwai wani Malam Haruna za a iya bashi. Alaikum salam.
So thank you for the opportunity. It's an announcement that I'm going to.
Okay.
The Ala Book Club initiative wishes to invite you to its first quarterly silent reading, which has been scheduled to take place as follows. Day, Thursday, 14 August 2025. Time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Venue, number 265 Kaigama, Abu Musa Al-Ashari Academic School, near Goranduse Primary. For more information, you can contact this number 080 3305 3858. Thank you.
Yeah, please. This is Mala Awal. He's one of our active members of our book club. Recently, I kept talking about the need for having more forums in Kano localities, and they accepted this challenge and they initiated a beautiful book club at Dala. So you should do Zumunchipa among yourselves. You understand? They are here. So please endeavor to also grace the occasion. Okay? Find places that you can go, during your days so that you can. So please go there, see their activities, learn something from them, and then also teach them some things so that we can work together and solve a lot of problems within the society. So thank you.
Thank you so much once again. Before like some question which is asked by someone who says, thank you so much. But he said that thank you so much for your presentation, and also he said that when a reader approaches to Hashwat, for example, what kind of things, for example, did he make? when a reader finds, for example, some hash word or some hash word when he is doing reading, what kind of things did he make? Okay. Thank you so much. Abu Bakr Muhammad, over to say something. Thank you so much.
I thought you will answer the question.
Okay, okay. So she can. Okay. So thank you very much. First, okay, huh? Okay. Sure.
Each one of us know the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Shall we take all the questions, or shall we start answering
Yes,
this one? What do you suggest? How do you plan it? No, your plan. I'm here for you. Tell me your plan. Huh?
Yeah, take the question.
Okay, so please. You can help them since it's taken. You can help him by coming out. Oh? Yeah, maybe the people will ask to come forward, right? So that you can. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Many thanks, Mala Abba, with this wonderful presentations. I really appreciate your presentations. I have a questions regarding your presentations. You made mention one point that is very important. I want you to shed more light about it. That is close reading. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Number 2.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you even so much, Mala Abba, for this very wonderful presentation. So, Mala Abba, my question is that I once heard someone saying that any genre has its own way of reading, like a motivational has its own way. He ever told me that when you come to read like a motivational books, you don't have to, or you don't have to force yourself to be reading detail by detail. So you have to get the ideas there that are the what you should do. And he said that when I come to write like a read like a stories, so I should do this to digest the book or the material. So Malaba, what can you say, or what are you going to say about this? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Number 3.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you, Malaba, for sharing this curtain of knowledge with us. And my question here is, there is a teacher of ours there at Northwest University that told us, whenever you borrow a book from someone and later then return the book to the person, that means the book is not enjoyable. So what can you say about this?
So thank you so much. Before number 4 proceed, I would like to tell you about you have to make it snappy. You have to cut off the question. You know, like so many questions. I know like so many things where people is exhausted to ask. So you need to make it snappy.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. First of all, my name is Mustafa Umar, and I'm really appreciated with this magnificent presentation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. So, due to the lack of ample time, I'll just go directly to the question. So, sir, a lot of time actually, if I take a book, just reading it, then I am feel sleepy whether the book actually is so. So, sir, what will be the financier for this problem? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 5. Okay, too.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Mala Abba. Though my words actually are too scanty to appreciate such presentation, I'll just say thank you so much and thank God for having you in my generation. Because Mala Abba, we are really proud of you. And this presentation, when I go home, I will write it as one of the best presentation in 2025. Thank you so much. My question is, Malaba reading culture has, a lot of challenges, as you have mentioned. Though, Alhamdulillah, a lot of the challenges are well discussed today, I think. So sometimes people start reading and they found this book, very difficult to understand. For example, you'll see a person starts reading in January, but you find him in February stop that such, reading. What can you say about this? And secondly, I wish Mal Abba will advise, those people that start reading without having vocabularies. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Osman, for your observation and also as well as comments. Okay, yes.
I'm Tasi Abubakar by my name. Many thanks goes to Mala Abba for honoring our forum. And though words seem inadequate to express the happiness this forum is, for honoring our for just accepting our invitation and came on time and quickly. So thank you very much for that. But my question here is that as Mala Abba suggested, or when he was talking, he mentioned something like if you want to be addicted in reading, if let's say to just develop your reading culture. So as he said, fictional book sometimes maybe doesn't make you to be a liar, but sometimes I must sometimes when I'm just addicted to fictional reading, so whenever I face non-fictional reading, I find it very difficult to maybe to access all the information that I want to take. So this is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tasi, for your question. Okay, next. Oh, because of time, huh? Let's. I would suggest. Okay, yes, and then you gather this question and probably share with other forums.
Okay, thank you so much. Malaba, we really appreciate you for giving this wonderful presentation. So, we normally encourage our students to read. And the question that I want to ask you is, are there some books or rather novella, for example, written by our own writers from the north? Because most of the books that we recommend for them are written by southerners, and they normally discussing that are not in line with our own culture or religion. People like you, for example, who knows about the culture of Hausa people, the religion, and even the norms and values, can write so many things in their books that our students can read and also learn about the Hausa culture, for example. Unlike if we recommend books for them written by the southerners, they will learn their own culture, religion, and norms and values, which perhaps are not in line with our own. So, are there some books that you can tell us which we can recommend for our own students? Thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you so much for for doing these works. Thank you so much. I think it's a time for yes, of course, to ask question and also. Even me,
Okay.
I have so many questions. But
Because
I
I want Malabaka to make a comment. I just find that I have to answer like two questions only. The questions are all important, yes, yeah. And as Malabaka amply suggested, I will make videos explaining, explaining them one after the other, inshallah. But I think with regard to this kind of hash words kalmomin zagi kenan bai. Su ne kalmomin zagi. Maybe difficult words, ko? Difficult words. I think this one is very simple. If you pick up a book that has difficult diction, I don't recommend you continue reading it unless it is set by your teacher or by a course. I would say that if you are reading any book that you don't enjoy, that makes you sleepy, you should put it aside and try another one. So as simple as this, you understand? Reading should be done, you understand, with alacrity, like for example, with passion, with enjoyment, something that you feel in you. So if you find this book difficult, change to another one. Feeling sleepy is natural. Yes, yeah. So I usually do this. I read at the time that I don't feel sleepy. You understand? Which means you can change the time for reading. Maybe from evening you can come back to morning or to after Subhi prayer. Reading in between that time is very enjoyable. And reading from 7 to 8 o'clock, Shima is also enjoyable. Yeah, this, I mean in the morning. I enjoy it from 7 to 8 o'clock. Yeah, not after that. I look at you, to see. From 7 to 8 o'clock. So I think these are the questions that I can answer. But with the rest, inshallah, I will find time to make the videos. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amal Abba, for once again. Oh, thank you so much.